Hello, I'm Kimberly Parnell, and you are listening to Engaging Texas Families, a podcast from the Parent and Family Engagement Statewide Initiative of Texas. Let's jump into today's episode. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Engaging Texas Families. I'm Kimberly Parnell, your host, and today we're joined by Cory Green, Associate Commissioner of the Texas Education Agency. Cory, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
So this is a special episode we're recording at the 2025 PFE conference in Waco, Texas. And we're excited that we've had all kinds of special guests on our podcast. So Cory, why don't you start us out and tell us just a little bit about yourself and your journey in education?
Well, I started out 40 years ago as a high school agriculture teacher. Started out in a very small 1A school, so small we played six-man football, and it took every boy in high school to field a team.
Wow.
Spent 4 years there. Ended up teaching the parents of one of my current employees while I was there. Moved from there, spent 5 years in a little bit bigger school in a 3A high school up in Bridgeport, Texas. Got a call from TEA, wanted to know if I wanted to come interview for a grant-funded job. I had actually applied to try to work in their agriculture department in the vocational ed couple of times, come out third, come out second. And the grant department pulled my application out of a file cabinet.
Wow.
And asked me to come interview. I'd been stock showing with students for about 3 solid weeks, and it's like, I can take a day off. I'll go to Austin and interview. And never dreamed I'd have a chance at the job. They called me back 2 weeks later, offering me a job. And so I uprooted our family in the middle of the school year, and I moved to Austin. My wife and 3 kids at the time stayed in Bridgeport for a couple of months until we found a place to live. And I've been at TEA for going on 31 years.
Wow. All
working in federal grants. And I've been in my current role as the Associate Commissioner and Chief Grants Officer for about the last 8 or 9 years.
Awesome. So I know you're a proud father, so tell us about your kiddos.
5 kids from 36 down to 22 with the 11, 12-year gap in the middle. 4 of them are teachers. My oldest is now the Dean of Student Services at an elementary school. 3 sons, high school ag teachers, all 3 of them, with the youngest one actually teaching in Bridgeport in the exact classroom that I left when I came to TEA. And then my second daughter is a director of marketing for TEACS down in the A&M system.
Nice. So they're continuing your legacy. That's super fun. Cory, you've been a part of the statewide initiative since its beginning, correct?
Correct.
Tell us why you felt like it was an important thing to be a part of from the beginning.
Well, what most people don't know is that TEA a long time ago had a very small division for parent involvement. And TEA actually hosted a parent conference every year. And Anita Villarreal's oldest daughter, Linda, worked in that division and did all the logistics conference planning on the parent conference when TEA hosted it. And in one of the rifts and reorgs, that was deemed not a function that was going to continue. And so we had a year, maybe 2 years, that we didn't have any kind of parent involvement leadership from the agency. And so Anita Villarreal and I came up with this idea. If we could fund this out of Title I, could we fund a parent initiative again? And it was called Parent Involvement and School Support Initiative way back then. And could we do the conference? And the agency's like, you got the money? You want to do a conference? Go for it. So the initiative started out, and it's been through about 3 coordinators at Region 16. People at first thought it was a crazy choice that we ended up at Region 16, because especially back then, Region 16 was much smaller in size and very much rural, still rural, small schools, and it's like, you're going to put a statewide parent initiative out in Amarillo. And it's like, yes, we are. And we're going to have a conference, and it's going to be good. And so over the years, 20 conferences over the last 21 years, because of the pandemic, we didn't get to have a conference one year, so we're celebrating the 20th year. And I walked through all those programs, and it's like, I remember every one of these conferences. I remember the speakers, I remember the planning committees and the work we did, and how we have evolved in the 20 years. And so we're real excited about Parent Conference. It's one of the highlights of our year, getting to go to the Parent Conference. And I was just amazed this morning how many first-time people we have
Absolutely.
this year. And because we get a lot of returning folks. People come to this once, they see the value in it, and they want to come back. And so I was really impressed with how many first-time attendees we had this year.
Yeah, it's exciting to look back and think, wow, this has been going on for 20 years. And you look at the legacy that the people yesterday who stood up, there were not a ton of them yesterday who stood up that were at the very first conference. But it's fun to see the repeat people every single year. And you think about the legacy and the impact that they've had on kids and families across our state. And I think it's something to be proud of as we celebrate the 20th year this year in Waco. So we appreciate your leadership in that area. You spoke just a minute ago about parent involvement, that's kind of how it started. What do you think the core difference is between parent involvement and now what we call parent engagement?
When you talk about parent involvement, so many people think that as long as they get a parent to come cut out things in the workroom, that's parent involvement. Or we have parent conference days, that's parent involvement. And it may be, but it's not effective parent involvement.
Right.
And so over the years, it became very obvious that you don't just want parents on the campus, you really want them engaged in their students' education. You want them engaged in the learning process. And so as we've made the progression from just parent involvement to really focusing on parent engagement, we've opened so many more doors.
Right.
And we've got people thinking in such a different way about how parents can actually be part of the school. And you see it in the videos for the award winners on the Nita Viriel Innovation Award.
Right.
And I know every one of those programs from over the years. I've seen those programs. I've been at some of their campuses. And you really see where campuses are focusing on engagement versus just involvement. And with having 4 kids who are teachers, and my wife was a retired teacher. She's retired twice from teaching. And I look at my kids, and one of my sons, when he would interview, he would ask about how involved are your parents in the program. And high school sometimes didn't know how to answer that question. When he had asked it, you could tell he had just caught them totally off guard. And so I look at my students and my kids, my children who are teachers, and talk to them about how they're engaging parents and how they're involving parents in their program. And the saddest response I get is they throw money at the program so that the kid has something to do. And it's like, but how are you getting the parent actually involved and engaged with what your program is doing? And sometimes some of them can't really answer that.
That's right.
And so it's like we still have so much work to do, but we've come so far. Because until you get the parents truly engaged, you don't really get them as a partner in that student's educational work.
Right. And I think we think sometimes they're engaged if they just come to the meeting or they come to the band concert or they show up every once in a while to check on their kid or, like you said, cut out. But when we talk about true family engagement, it's doing that with our parents alongside. So what is one thing you feel like every district could do today that would dramatically impact parent and family engagement?
Teach their new teachers that are straight out of college how to talk to parents.
Yes.
Teachers, when they're coming straight out of college, you've got these 21, 22, 23-year-olds, and sometimes their parents are not a whole lot older than them, but realistically, at the high school level especially, the parents they're trying to work with are their parents' age.
Right.
They're not their age. And teachers coming out of college don't know how to interact with that older parent or especially that grandparent who is now raising their grandchild.
And there's a lot of that.
And I wish there was pre-service training in the colleges and universities or the alternative certification programs about parent engagement and how to talk to parents. And I have sons who do everything by text message and email with parents. And part of it, they do it to have the documentation that they contacted the parent or they did what they were supposed to do. But it's like, why don't you pick up the phone and call them?
Help build the relationship. Yeah, I love that. I love that. As we wrap up, I want you to think about a time, either as a parent or an educator, that you have seen someone just do an all-star job in parent and family engagement. Like, what did that look like?
I think one of the things that I've seen, and it was not for my kids, it was not while I was teaching, it's when I was at TEA, we were out visiting a school for, I don't even remember why we were there, but what impressed me on the school was that they showed us, they do the tour. Everybody likes to give TEA the tour of the campus. And they take us to the classrooms, we see all this. And they took us to this one classroom, and it was all parents. And they have a dedicated classroom on the campus that is specifically for parents, where they have scheduled activities with parents, really building parent engagement. But that classroom is always open to parents to come in and be on campus, and they're welcome. And they don't have to make an appointment to come in. They can just go in, show up, sign in, go through normal process to get into the campus, and they can go to this parent classroom, and they have all these resources available, and they have scheduled classes for them. And the classes are everything from computer science to crafts to helping them make things that they can then sell at craft fairs that the school has to help the parents make money, and it also helps them raise funds for resources for the parent classroom. And so through this classroom, just having this designated space where a parent is always welcome, you slowly get parents bringing in other parents who never would come to the school.
Right.
Because a parent invites them, explains to them what's available, and come go with me. And you get parents slowly coming in that have never stepped foot on the campus because they weren't comfortable. And I think one of the second thing that is the biggest challenge is schools have to make parents comfortable to come on campus.
Right.
Because everybody doesn't fit that. When we moved to TEA, we had so many people from the community that we'd been teaching in who were helping us pack, helping us load the moving truck. And my wife's makeup got put in a box that came out of the attic.
Oh, gosh.
It was labeled attic. So we move over the weekend, and she goes to enroll our oldest daughter in kindergarten down in the Austin area where we had moved to, and she hadn't found her makeup, and she wasn't going to go buy new makeup because she knew it was there somewhere.
Right.
And so she goes into this elementary school to enroll our daughter wearing no makeup, jeans, and a sweatshirt. And the way she was treated, they didn't know she was a professional teacher. They didn't know they would yet to be hiring her less than a year later to be their reading specialist. But she was treated very badly by this school office because she came in wearing jeans, a sweatshirt, and no makeup on. She goes back a week later to apply to be a substitute because that's our daughter's home campus. And they see her resume that she is an experienced teacher with 10 years teaching experience in the elementary level, and they couldn't be nice enough. They couldn't get her signed up to be a sub on their campus fast enough. And it's like the difference in how we treat people because of how they look or how they speak or how we perceive them is one of the things that's killing parent engagement on campuses.
Yes, I would agree with you. I think there's a judgment call, I think, a lot of times, and we say all the time that school staff, sometimes they set the tone for the entire day. The kid could have the most amazing teacher or the most amazing administrator, but maybe it's the school secretary or whoever they encounter. that they set the tone for that entire campus. So they really are one of the most important people. And I think it's such a valuable job, like to fill and fill correctly with the right person who is welcoming and engaging no matter how you are. And I know there's always concerns about school safety, but I would agree with you. I think that school secretary holds a lot of power. It's an important job to hire well in. So,
there is a video clip in the customer service training
yes,
that y'all's project at Region 16 did for us a couple of years ago, showing you the interaction with the student, a teacher, the bus driver, someone in the front office, and showing you the two ways that interaction goes and how it impacts that student's day. If we could get every new teacher to stop and watch that video and take to heart how they interact with students and how they interact with parents,
yes,
sets that whole tone for how that student's day is going to go.
absolutely. And you think about that just as a person, like you go back to the restaurant or you go back to the hotel or you go back to the car dealership where somebody's made you feel welcome. You don't go back to the XYZ restaurant where you had horrible service and your waiter or waitress was rude. You don't go back there. So think about that in the terms of schools and just involvement with our parents and engagement with our parents, and it's really the same way. And I think we sometimes forget the value of that just in the hustle and bustle of what we do. It's like, hey, let's get this short, quick interaction and move you on down the road. And it really is about building the relationship, I think, and we miss that so many times. I wonder, tell us what's next on your horizon.
I'm going to retire in August of 2027. So the next 18, 19 months are really focused on trying to train people up on my staff so that somebody has a little piece of all the knowledge I've done. It's taken me 31 years to learn everything about federal grants that I know, and I'm going to be really focusing on training staff to really fill those roles when I retire, because I plan to be at every soccer game, every baseball game, everything that my currently only one grandson is involved in. And when I retire, I'm gonna be comfortable walking away, because I'm gonna really go into a different role, and I'm gonna go be the grandfather that drives my daughter crazy, because we're gonna be there every weekend for every activity my grandson's in. Perfect.
What's your grandpa name?
Grumpy.
Grumpy. I love it. You're going to be the greatest Grumpy ever. I love it. Well, from my heart to you, I want to say thank you for your leadership for all these years. I think all of us in the PFE initiative would say that we're grateful for the leadership that you've shown, that you've believed in us. You believe in the work that we do. We always know just the value of it. So thank you for trusting us with it. Also, thank you for just bringing up the next stage of leaders, the people that are going to take your 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle of federal programs and leading up the next group of leaders. So thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks.